So I wanted to take a few minutes with this video to talk about 4 interesting PlayStation 5 stories, and if you could hit that like button on the video, thank you to those that do it, and as always, it's very much appreciated. Now the stories I wanted to dive into today includes graphics upgrade 2.2 news, very good news for the future of PlayStation, Sony officially responds to future studio buyouts, and PlayStation 3 download issues. First, how many years have you had your PlayStation 5? I'm seeing more and more people get a PlayStation 5 at this point, but I also know some of you have had it since day one, but there are others who came later after launch day. I've had mine since launch day, so that's over 2 years, but of course, that's just me. What about you guys? So comment below, how many years have you had your PlayStation 5? Let me know down in the comments below. Now diving into the first story of the video, Sony officially responds to studio buyouts. Reading from PlayStation Lifestyle, speculation about Sony PlayStation acquisitions are making rounds once again, as it is emerged that the company has a little over $5 billion left for acquisitions until 2024. Sony Group had pegged 2 trillion yen for the purpose back in 2020 to be spent over 3 years. It all started with a Morgan Stanley conference late last month that Sony CFO Hiroki Totoki was a part of. As spotted by Reset Era, Totoki was quizzed about the 2 trillion yen the company had put aside for acquisitions, and he revealed that 1.3 trillion yen had been spent by the end of 2022. That leaves 0.7 trillion yen, about $5.1 billion, for acquisitions within the next year. So Sony as a whole has about $5.1 billion left for acquisitions until April 2024. That's the start of the new fiscal year for Sony. So this is Sony as a whole, not just PlayStation by themselves. The thing that was funny about this is that people on Twitter made it seem like this is all Sony had left over forever. They have no more money after this. It's all gone. They can't, that's it. No more money. The thing I don't understand about that type of thinking and that being put out there is that literally the articles that they reference and the screenshots that they take mention that this is until next year. So after this year is over, they could make a new budget. That's the point, and I don't know why this spread around so much. But putting that to the side, since this is Sony as a whole, it could be split between the different departments. I would think Sony would want to respond to a buyout as big as Activision if that goes through. So maybe a new budget will come to light for acquisitions next year. Sony had $44 billion cash on hand in 2020, which is well over Take-Two's worth, for example, for people out there. So if they were willing to spend that much, they could have. I'm not sure they would, but if they wanted to, they could. They currently have 11 billion as of December 2022, since they've been investing a lot of money in the last few years. Of course, this will rise again, but as for right now, I think smaller studios come to mind: Firewalk Studios, Ember Labs, Deviation Games, Arrowhead Games, for example. As for later on, Square Enix seems like a prime choice. Not sure if Sony would want a Ubisoft, seeing how their situation is. Maybe Capcom or Sega. Capcom seems to fit really well. EA is a bigger beast, and Take-Two doesn't really need to sell to anyone, obviously, so we'll see how that goes. But again, if Sony wanted to, they could buy Take-Two if Take-Two themselves also wanted to sell. Now diving into the second story of the video, very good news for the future of PlayStation. Senior analyst at MST Financial, David Gibson, has revealed that the PS5 is outpacing the PS4 and PlayStation 3 in sales in Japan in the same time period. He stated this on Twitter recently. Japan PlayStation 5 has now sold 3 million. That is in 121 weeks, surpassing the PS3's 125 weeks and the PS4's 131 weeks. Last week, PlayStation 5 78K outsold the Switch again at 66K. So this is of course great news, and with supply getting better for the PlayStation 5, these numbers should keep going up. As for globally, the PlayStation 5 hasn't beaten the PS4 in the same time period, but sales for the PS5 are increasing at a faster rate since the beginning of this year. Again, thanks to supply constraints easing up, the PS5 has the potential to beat the PlayStation 4 globally. But you guys let me know if you think the PlayStation 5 will sell more consoles than the PlayStation 4 or not. Let me know down in the comments below. Now, diving into the third story of the video, graphics upgrade 2.2 news. So we've been covering FSR since its original launch back in 2021 with version 1.0. Obviously, we've been seeing more and more titles get the FSR treatment on PlayStation 5, and hopefully more studios continue to take advantage of the tool as we move forward. The one thing that's been interesting for me is seeing Sony's studios use it on their games as well, their first-party games, but just not on the PlayStation 5. For example, God of War 2018 uses FSR 2.0, but only on PC. Returnal uses FSR 1.0, I believe, but only on PC. Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves, Miles Morales, they all use FSR, but just on PC. Another one has been added to the list, which is Last of Us Part 1, coming to PC March 28th, and it will feature FSR 2.2 support. Again, FSR, or Fidelity FX Super Resolution, is a tool implemented in game engines to allow games to be upscaled from 1440p, for example, to 4K. It'll keep that 4K image quality, but now that it's running natively at 1440p, you can boost the FPS on the game. This is the benefit of these tools, DLSS and FSR. I'm not sure why Sony doesn't support or use FSR on their PlayStation 5 versions of these games to allow 4K 60 to be more of a normal thing. I'm sure there's a reason. I personally don't know. Maybe there's some reason that they don't use it on PlayStation 5. Maybe they have a better tool and they've actually maxed out what they can do on the PlayStation 5. I'm not sure, but it would be nice to see support for the feature on PlayStation 5 titles, since multiple PlayStation studios now support it in their engines at this point. And now diving into the final story of the video, PS3 download issues. Reading from Push Square, Sony's legacy systems, the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita, are throwing a wobbly, it seems. I don't know what wobbly means. There are widespread reports right around the globe of purchased games not downloading properly from the PlayStation Store. It's unclear what the exact issue is. PS3 received a firmware update recently, which could potentially be related, but that wouldn't explain the problems with its handheld counterpart. The error messages, which explain either an error occurred during the install operation or just an error occurred, can purportedly be overcome if you have the patience to try triggering the download enough times, but obviously this isn't ideal. It should be noted that while the Japanese giant has promised to keep the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita's digital stores online, they're held together with cello tape these days. So I've had my PlayStation 3 plugged in for a while in case I want to jump into some classics, but I haven't tried it recently to see if there are any download issues. Hopefully this gets resolved, because there are still titles on the PlayStation 3 that you can't play anywhere else, and it would really suck to have that access kind of disappear, even for a brief period of time. I'm sure Sony will fix it soon, but they definitely need another way to access those games, like maybe with an emulator on PlayStation 5, just throwing that out there. Hopefully that emulator is not too far in the future, but you guys let me know if you still use your PlayStation 3 or not. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please hit that like button. As it always helps, to subscribe if you're new. I got new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one. And welcome back to the after show. This is a part of the video where we have a little fun down in the comments below. If you're old, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. For today's thing, what I want you guys to do is to body, obliterate, destroy, and overall harass the comment section with "The weekend is here." It's Friday. I'm ready to jump back into my PlayStation VR 2. A bunch of games still to jump into. If you're excited for the weekend and jumping into some games, destroy the comment section with "The weekend is here." And I'll definitely heart those comments like I always do, because I appreciate everybody who stays to the end of my videos. And now I'll check you guys out on the next one.